It's always an adventure to watch it later and find out exactly how in sync we were or were not.
How were you on last week's? I remember you saying that might have been pretty good.
It seemed like that was, close in like it was backwards, but it was close in a way that made sense.
Gotcha. What were you just playing, Jen?
Paint rollers.
Gotcha. It looked really cool when it was moving.
Thanks to my low res camera, it was probably like an acid trip. Whoa.
Yeah, right.
It's like super, super fast. She works on that stuff like you do on your double bass.
Yep, right. Paint
Sometimes,
technique.
Sometimes Jen. See, look at that.
Wow, that's actually badass.
It's almost like she's, like she sits there and she like you do. You put your inners in and you'll watch movies, and she just works out on the paint roller.
I totally do. I'm so focused on the paint roller.
When you're working on your paint roller chops, what would you watch?
Beat Street.
Oh, I was thinking more something like Home Improvement or The Money Pit.
Oh, The Money, right.
So
I was, sorry. Bring the mood way down early, but I was playing Squib Cakes, the beat from a Tower of Power song to commemorate the passing of Rocco Prestia a few days ago.
Yes. Rest in peace, Rocco.
I was messing that up with Jen's bongos.
Perfect.
I was playing the bongos with what we call a Sharpie in the biz.
That's what we call that.
Yeah, because what you do, if you don't have a bongo stand and you don't want to move away from the camera, you got to hold it with one hand, and then you don't want to hit it with your hand, so you get the Sharpie.
Yeah, right.
That's the way the professionals do it.
Yes. It captured the the web stream vibe.
Right. As David Letterman used to say, it's all part of God's great plan.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Hello. Welcome to Outside the Inn. This is the Travis Larson weekly webcast. Well, during the world being turned upside down, we hang out with each other virtually each Saturday night, at least so far for the last 27 weeks.
Has it really been 27 weeks?
It's number 27. And darn it all, it's too bad we don't have anything to talk about tonight.
Yeah, we did it again. No.
There's only anything in the world that we could talk about tonight.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
To talk about.
Kip said, "What did I just join?"
Yeah.
Oh, Kip is here.
Yep.
You have to let us know, Kip, because we should be bringing you into these things.
Yeah, everyone loves the Kipster, and your episode was most highly rated.
Well, there's a chance that, as they used to do on the old talk shows, we may need, like a one-time substitute coming up here, and maybe Kip would be that guy. We'll have to talk to him about that. But we might need a sub on upcoming webcast. So if that's the case, maybe Kip could be the surrogate, whoever we would have to sub for. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Or it could be anybody. We could get anybody.
They're so easily replaced. You could get anybody for that spot.
Kip's response is, eh. It's all over it.
Or it's more like, that's what it's, that's what it is. It's
would be you though. So he spelled like would be UHHHH. Hey, I saw this stupid I don't know where I saw it. Some guy got Siri to finally laugh by asking her to change his name. You know how like if you can change how she addresses you or whatever. And he spelled out HAHAHAHAHAHAHEHEHEHEHEA and just with this big long one. And when she read it back, she goes, "So you want me to call you ha 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 ha?" It was so stupid that I laughed.
That's great.
Anyways.
Well, now we just have your sample of that.
Right. Ha 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 ha.
Good at that.
So
look it up, folks.
Nice.
Kip says we could talk about our new motorcycle gang.
Speaking about Kip, we gotta talk.
Yeah. Kip's trying to corrupt Jen and get her on motorcycles now. I'm not saying our bass player.
I'm getting it.
I'm not saying our bass player shouldn't be on a motorcycle, but our bass player shouldn't be on a motorcycle.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Trimming utensils and chainsaws, fine, but two wheels.
Yeah, but that's not an everyday thing to the store, you know. She should have at least 3 wheels, Stephanie.
Yes.
Yeah, Stephanie's far more smart.
Right.
It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
You can let go of the handlebars on 3 wheels and probably make it a mile further than you can on 2.
Well, you can blow out a front tire on 3 wheels and still have a front tire on her scooter. That's the cool thing.
Oh, I see. I was going to say, but that's got to be funky, right? Because when people think 3-wheeler, they think like the 2 in the back, but this is like a 2 in the front.
Right, but it leans. They articulate. It doesn't matter. You don't know all you have is twice the possibilities of traction in front. It leans. It does everything a normal motorcycle would, except you're not screwed if you hit gravel with one of your wheels.
Is that thing considered a scooter though? It's a 3-wheel vehicle. I'm not sure. I think that's more like a trike. A trike, yeah. Like back in the day, like remember when you watched, this is my reference for trikes, by the way. Remember the biker gang in Every Which Way But Loose?
No.
Nope.
You guys remember back when we, like in the 80s where they used to always, or 70s and 80s movies, there'd always be the biker gang and there'd be the one guy on the trike. He's always trying to pop wheelies on the trike, but he'd have the little like Nazi helmet and he'd be like this biker with the trike. But
that was when it was one wheel in the front, and that was an ATV or a 3-wheeler.
Right. So, but I'm not sure that those things, they don't constitute a scooter, whereas a scooter, we all know who rides a scooter, and it's a different vehicle. Anyway.
It's pretty awesome. I will say the 3 wheels get you, it's a technicality that gets you around all the registration stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But it'll go highway speeds and you don't have to even, it's just like, I got a scooter, don't have to register it, don't have to do anything, but I can ride it on the highway.
Yeah. Right. Basically it's a car without the extra stabilizing wheel or a safety shell.
Right. Basically.
Why would you want to drive a car when you could be in way more danger?
Right.
Rodney says Jen needs a jetpack.
Yes. Totally need a jetpack.
I have a student who brought me a little Tyrannosaurus, and then a few weeks later he said, can I take that Tyrannosaurus back and I'll bring it back the following week? I go, yeah, sure. It was super thoughtful, but you can have it back if you want. He goes, no, I was going to make a Lego jetpack for it though. So now I'm waiting for the T-Rex to come back with a jetpack.
Oh, what a sweet gesture.
Super awesome.
Kip says,
how old of a student? Please don't tell me he's like 52.
Yeah, right.
He's 52. His name is Kip Stork.
He also gave me this, which is a guy who has a cold weather helmet.
Oh, hang on.
Let's see. And he's got a cold weather helmet uniform. And then he's got this car that has a ramp on the back. Anyway, and he has an ice saw, and it's to look for fossils. And then if any of the fossils are alive, he explained this all pretty meticulously. This is some kind of not a dart gun, something to tranquilize animals if they come out of the ice and are alive.
Oh,
also
how thoughtful. That's a good idea.
$100 bill.
Oh, in case he needs to bribe the fossilized creatures that come to life.
Right. Yeah, I'll give you money. And what I can only regard as a
goblet.
Pimp goblet, yeah.
Yeah, so you either give them money, booze, or
offer them a drink. Yes, but that was a pretty sweet, well thought out gift there.
Yeah.
These are the things that you get when you teach, right?
True.
Like, so this
is a good now that we're talking about this, I received a Pez dispenser and I was embarrassed to say that I don't know who this character is. And okay, the other Pez, the first one I know is, Star Wars droid.
Oh, yes.
Okay. But this one, I'm just assuming it's Star Wars, but it could be Star Trek. And it's sort of a nondescript.
Is that no, he's got the ponytail. No, I thought it was Data at first from Star
I thought it was
Trek.
Data too. That's not a Lord of the Rings guy, is it?
It could be anything. Yeah, right. You're thinking Legolas?
Is it?
Yeah, but Legolas is blonde, right? Wait.
Yeah, it's tricky. And kind of androgynous, but I'm going by the man bun.
Yeah.
It's a dude. Anyway. I'll read the responses.
Rey from the new Star Wars. That's supposed to be a woman.
Okay.
I was thinking the new Jedi Rey, probably.
I am behind one movie in the Star Wars stuff. So right on. Yeah. Thanks.
Well, I think there's many now with her.
Stephanie says it's Mike Wallace.
You're behind like 3.
Okay.
I'm right there with you, Stephanie, except for the man bun. If Mike Wallace had a man bun.
Jared Kushner.
Oh man,
I'm going with Rey. I think that's good.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, of course it is, and I'm just so like out of.
If it was Princess Leia, I mean, if you'd know that.
Right. There's a couple Danishes on her head.
Yeah, right. The buns are in the wrong place. Oh.
Wow.
Jerry says. Jennifer on a motorcycle. Well, don't take it on any escalators going the wrong direction.
Yeah, right.
That's my first Evel Knievel trick, right there.
Yeah, that's a good move where you just
all about that.
Yeah, that's the move that you do in all the movies where you're robbing a bank. You always drive down into that subway station,
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's gonna be so cool when I try that. I'll try to tape, film it. Sam is here and I wanted to congratulate him. He's a new grandpa. I saw some of the posts on Facebook of the new little baby and congratulations.
Yay. Sam's baby, grandbaby. So this is a perfect segue. Number one, Dale getting gifts and then Sam being on here. And so Sam sent me a picture today. He's got a guitar pick collection, which is way more professionally displayed than anything I have. My guitar pick collection is in like a box, but I do have a few that are displayed. But I thought one of the things we could do throughout the night is maybe take a look at memorabilia from other people that we've forgotten we have or don't even know what it is. You know what I mean? And this could continue. I didn't grab the pics, but I did grab a picture of the prominently displayed stuff in the office that's obvious stuff. But then I have a box of not obvious stuff here that I thought we could get into. But let me see if I can get this share screen going here okay, so this is a picture of the thing hanging in the office. This is something Jen put together years ago. And it's just because you want to do something with this stuff, right? So this is just a framed thing of Backstage passes, right? And then there's a bunch of pics at the bottom here, which I'm not sure if I could blow this up. I bet I can. Let's see. Oh, look at that. And then I could probably drag it around, right? So this is the Backstage pass collection that's just hanging on the wall in the office. There's Rush from 2001, nice. September 20th, which was only like a week ago, right? Or a little over a week ago. This is Unstoppable Momentum Joe Satriani tour. This is G303. That's a long time ago. That was the one with Yngwie where he didn't come back. Everybody came out to say hi to everybody except for Yngwie.
Remember the Rush passes? They gave us like 10 of them and there were only 3 of us. So we were like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a bunch of Rush passes on here. Right. This is all from the Vapor Trails tour. There's a Deep Purple from, I forget what year that is. It's the Bananas tour. And this is one of the Vi tours. This is basically just to put it somewhere cool. She framed it and stuck it up on the wall. And so there's like a bunch of these. Many of them are duplicates. Here's a signed G303.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then there's
of course no Yngwie signature.
Right. But going back to Sam's pick collection, so these are just like some of the picks that ended up in this thing just to put them somewhere. But there's the Steve Morris pick. There's Steve Morris with Deep Purple. I'm not really sure if this is actually a Satriani pick or not, but it showed up in my pocket at a Satriani gig.
I think that's the Surfing with the Aliens show we saw down at the Roxy or whatever.
Yeah. But I'm not sure. Here's the thing about it. I'm not sure about it because I have a vague recollection that it might have been like an offshoot company trying to turn him on to some picks. You know how that kind of stuff happens?
Right.
This is, that's
the
Rush, obviously. Snakes and Arrows. There's R30. There is the other, potentially Joe Satriani.
Maybe you got that in Baker, California on the way out to Las Vegas from California.
I may have.
By Area 51, everything's aliens.
Let's remember that. Let's remember that reference, Dale. Don't let me forget.
Okay.
So this is, and there's a Deep Purple, and then there's a Dave LaRue pick, which it's funny because Jen actually has picks. And they just, they made her pick so that she would have picks to give to people, but she never uses a pick and doesn't honestly know how to effectively use a pick. Correct, Jay?
Well, I mean, no.
You don't know how to use a pick. I've been playing with you for 32 years. You don't know how to use a pick.
I've used it a tiny little bit for mute picking on bass, where you palm mute the bridge there, and that kind of like a Cars kind of a sound.
I came across randomly the other day an old pack of bass strings, or at least the package with Jennifer's name on the Ernie Ball bass strings.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think maybe when that first started happening, I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're famous! I'm keeping this." Like, there's gonna be other ones.
I still have a few of those because the thing is, they rotate the names.
That is true.
And so when we came on, the irony is with that kind of stuff, we were on the string packages for like 10 years, and nobody really, cared who we were. And then you get to a point where there's a few people noticing, and then they pull you off the string packages because you have to rotate it.
Yeah.
So ironically, when actually maybe some people would have noticed, we weren't on it, but when nobody knew who we were on it, which is actually the way it ought to be. That's a company really supporting their artists, right?
Yeah.
Like supporting the artists that nobody cares about, which is, a good thing, like trying to help us get our name out there. So, but in response to Dale, let's see here. So you just mentioned the Area 51, Dale. And because I have this box of random passes here, let me just show this right here.
Ooh.
Nice. So presumably everybody has heard about Area 51 and aliens, but you basically go right by that if you're traveling from Southern California to Las Vegas, and there's a certain couple rest stops that just everything is alien based.
Right. And last time we went through there on our way back from the last tour with the Aristocrats, because I have to be careful here, because somebody in the news had mentioned something about Area 51. Apparently a bunch of wingnuts decided they were going to go out there and storm Area 51 and find the aliens, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If I'm offending any wingnuts, I apologize. But so when we were driving back, we saw a whole sea of, like, when you go over the grade from Mexicali to San Diego, you go over that grade that's like, you go straight up in the air and the van wants to overheat, and then you start traveling down to San Diego. Right past the peak of that, off to the right, there were a whole bunch of crazy motorhome people wearing foil on their heads and spaceships all over the place. Like literally spaceships, like aluminum spaceships.
Aluminum.
So
that would have been an interesting hang, because when I tried to look into it, it seemed like the sense I got from trying to read about it, it was about a third real UFO truthers who were sincere, and about a third people who just thought this will be fun and being sarcastic, and then about a third people to go just observe how, just like, I got to see this. like people watching. So it seemed like it would be sort of like a uncomfortable. Some people feeling made fun of. Some people having a great just partying. Yeah. That I remember that being a weird thing.
I think there was definitely some people out there just because, like, they were basically people like us. Right. Like I would look at Jenna and go, "Hey, we should go out there and check out all the alien weirdos, right?"
Yeah.
And she would be like, "I do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, it'd be fun, right? We should go out there."
Sure, why not?
That's like something. That's something that would happen. So, Stephanie, I'm not repeating that.
Oh goodness.
So, anyway, so there's actually. Should we take that little track before we get into the rest of these passes, since we're on this?
What shirt are you wearing right now, Travis? It's like, what is that? Some guy?
I don't know. This is something that much like most of the t-shirts, we talked last week about having like 200 t-shirts or something like that. This was handmade. This was something that I think Corey found in the merch area of one of the shows last summer. Corey was a merch guy on our tour.
Yeah. We all ended up with tons of shirts from the
yeah. So every night you go to the merch area of these clubs, and we're playing. These were bigger, cooler venues where there were like bands go through every night and play a show. It's not like just a bar. So there would be leftover stuff in the corner of each merch area usually, and this was one of those leftover shirts. I have no idea what the deal is with it. I don't know what it means.
Well, so to me, this is an interesting topic. And I think maybe any musician would agree, but I'll put it to you guys. Don't you find that, earlier in your career, you're so excited to get a free shirt? I mean, it's just literally has value as this.
Earlier in my career.
Yeah, right. Well, and then at some point, you have so many shirts, you're never going to, like clubs from all over the country and things like that. Although it just feels like people don't give away club shirts as much as they used to. But I saw a Facebook post from a friend a couple years ago, and I really remember him going, I have all these. He has a family now, and he's not touring as a musician, but he said, I have all these venue shirts and shirts from other bands that we traded, and I can't really get rid of them, but I'm never going to wear them. And he was saying they don't fit me anymore anyway. And but I have like 2 huge bags full of shirts that I used to wear, way bigger shirts, and I'm just never going to wear these things, but I can't really make myself toss them.
Are they extra large? Are they double extra large? How big are they?
They're extra large, but it seems like sizing follows trends too. And these were some big floppy shirts.
Okay. This is the problem with you, Dale, is you work a job where every day you are presenting yourself as Dale Moon to people, whereas I am not. I'm living
20
here.
or 30 shirts. You want 60 or 70 shirts?
I already have 60 or 70 shirts, but that's why, because I always look at that 60 or 70 shirts I don't have to buy, and eventually the shirts wear out. They wear out, about one a year, but eventually I'll need to buy shirts, and so in this way I'll never have to buy shirts unless I have to look good.
You are thrifty to a degree. I will say that your free shirts are way outpacing your using up the free shirts.
Oh, totally.
You're not gaining on your supply of shirts. You're gonna die with 4,000 free swag shirts.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like when I lived in a warehouse and I would end up with $20 to buy a bag of rice to live on for 3 weeks, a shirt meant like that's security. And I started, pretty soon you got 20 shirts. I'm like, I'm never going to have to shop for clothes for the next 2 years. And it just really meant something when I was that broke, and now it's sad to just have all those and I'm just going to let them go or I'm never going to wear them.
Travel, take them. I think that's what he's getting at.
Someday, assuming Jen is the last man standing, she'll be cleaning out all those shirts and auctioning them off. She'll be like,
why will I be the last man standing?
She'll be like, this is the shirt because you're Jennifer Young.
Oh, I see.
She'll be like, like just random shirts like this. I've got every company I've got defunct companies. I've got companies that don't even exist anymore. I've got EV shirts from 20 years ago that I'm still wearing as recently as yesterday, where people come up, like there's the one with the socks on it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
People always go, "What?
Socks off.
Yeah, what is that? What do the socks mean?" And I go, "I don't know." And then finally we found out because they knock your socks off. You see.
Well, that kind of swag is funny too, because you figure, well, when I'm doing anything EV related, I'll wear this shirt and it'll be cool and thoughtful. But they're gonna look at you and go like, "That was 4 series of gear ago. Like, what? Get a current shirt on."
Right. Hey, Larry's here, and hi, Larry.
Hey,
Hi, Larry.
Larry said aliens and zombies when we were still stuck on that. So, I had this footage because I was kind of looking for stuff that we've talked about but maybe not shown. And one of the things, so you know the movie Paul, you remember when that came out?
It's a great movie.
When that movie came out was around the first time that we went to Vegas. Now, here's the thing about this band. This is obviously not a Vegas band. And so I hadn't been to Vegas until like 10 years, 11, 12 years ago, something like that, like ever in my life, because it's just not my scene, man, you know? And then all of a sudden we found ourselves going to Vegas like all the time because we started doing clinics there. And then Jen and I found ourselves stuck in Vegas one time for like 4 days.
Hey, what happens in Vegas? You know the rest.
Yeah, what happens in Vegas? We walked around and looked at all the stuff that like Michael Jackson had bought, like
right,
like there's like vases and stuff at that shop where he, you know, when you watch that Michael Jackson documentary, he's in there just like buying $500,000 vases for his house, like they're candy. You know, I'll take one of that one and one of that one. So we like walked around those places for like a couple of days, and then it's always fun to walk down the boulevard and they hand you all the hooker flyers. That's
the dirty boulevard.
That's a good activity in Vegas when you don't actually do anything in Vegas.
Right.
Anyway, so I think this is our first trip to Vegas, and this was when we had a billboard on the outside of Sam Ash, and we went there and we did our first clinic.
See, I think you did show this already.
You think so?
Because I remember you showing the big billboard. Yeah.
I don't think it was before that.
Okay.
I don't actually show the billboard.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I think if I'm wrong, then I apologize for the rerun, everybody. But we've done 27 of these, so
right. Yeah,
you'd have to sift through. You know, what's 27 times 1.5?
Don't worry about it.
But
no math.
Just throw math at me and tell me not to worry about it.
Right. But so here's the thing with this. This goes back to Larry because this was our, I believe, let's see, or is it that one? Is it this one? Oh, hang on. It's the other one. Let me do the other one. Sorry. It's not easy to work the equipment while you're on the equipment. That's the whole thing about this. People think, you know, well, get better at this stuff, but you just can't. So
Kip's signing out. Bye, Kip.
Bye, Kip.
Bye, Kip.
Let's talk about that, you know.
We don't need audio for this, do we? Do we want audio? Sure. Let's see what happens.
I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. You guys see this?
Ooh, the road to Vegas, 2009.
Yeah, we can see it. Oops, sorry.
All right. So,
hey, there's one of them shirts.
In Las Vegas, and we're staying in Barstow, which is just a couple hours shy of Las Vegas, and it's a fascinating kind of place where it's wondrous, as you can tell.
oh yeah, we were in Barstow for the first time too.
Desert, and,
Staying there anyway.
I think it's pretty happening.
Oh, the audio on that's quiet track.
This is Baker.
You guys see the alien?
It's really, really hot.
He's watching me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Baker, California.
They're all around.
I think this is our first time seeing the aliens.
Oh yeah, we were so excited. Now
The
we're
car
oh
with
my
aliens
god,
in it.
aliens!
So anybody driving to Vegas
Space troopers.
is probably familiar. And there's the spaceship. And then this place you go into, and they've got aliens in, you know, jars and stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's our clinic. That was it for the aliens.
So we're at the Sam Ash in Las
You know, what's
Vegas,
funny about this is
Nevada,
I look
and
about
we're gonna do
10 years older than I am
Extraordinary
here
Electro Voice.
because I look here about
And,
like I look
we're
now.
starting the sound check. They
I
got
must
this
have been
big stage
tired.
for us. Nice setup for the.
Anyway, that's
That's it. I remember when we went through all the hot sauces.
Yeah, they have a bunch of obscenely named super hot sauces.
Yeah, but we've been back like 4 times.
Okay.
That was the first time. That was
right.
the first time. That's why all the alien stuff.
I was all excited about the offensive hot sauces. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you go to Baker, California, and you go to the Alien truck stop there, Alien Beef Jerky, I think, is officially what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that the same place that, okay, correct me if this is incorrect, but they also claim the world's tallest mini mart, and we're expecting like, oh, we're going to go up 10 stories. It's a lie. Don't fall for it. They have a huge thermometer because you're in the Mojave Desert, and it's tall, and they're calling it the world's tallest mini mart. It's a normal 1-story or 2-story mini mart.
If you're going to go one place or the other, you want to go to the Alien Jerky. I think it's just called Alien Jerky.
It might, yeah.
But of course, the thing about the Alien Jerky is because, aliens kidnap cows. That's why they have the jerky.
Yeah, that is pretty good.
But here's the thing about when the first time we went there, and I've never seen it since, they had like one of those jars full of formaldehyde, and they had an alien head in the jar. Yep. And I wanted this really bad. And I said, how much for the alien in the jar? And the guy goes, oh, that's not for sale. Too hard to catch.
Nice.
Completely deadpan like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, but he really wouldn't sell it to me. It was the only one. So maybe they are too hard to catch because they're selling those keychains like they're hotcakes, but they won't sell you the alien.
Right. Yep.
So anyway, Stephanie says, just say no to Baker, California. No, it's a wonderland. Didn't you see Paul?
It's not I think Wonderland might be a stretch. A tiny stretch.
It's interesting mainly because it compared to the super boring hours of desert you're driving through.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it is a wonderland. You're right. I'm sorry.
Are you telling me that in this day of, the COVID, that it's not, a wonderland to go to?
It would be a wonderland today. Yes. Hi, Vicky. I sure hope you guys up there in Portland are doing better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, you know what? I am wearing a KPSU shirt right now.
Are you?
Totally. Wait, look.
Nice.
See that?
Wow.
Nice.
It's an old one.
Well done.
Talk about old shirts and,
Yeah, that's where Vicky DJs. For those that don't know.
A few people are saying you can make quilts out of old shirts and that there are people who will do that. I'm going to have to look into this. Also, recently I was on Craigslist and there was a really nice looking Slayer quilt. It had a whole bunch of, I think they were album covers. I'll have to go back and look, but it was like, man, that'd be cool to have a Slayer quilt.
Hey, Judy's back.
Okay, Judy, we can start the show now.
Judy, did you miss the whole thing about aliens? Because I'm sure you're in about 20 alien movies, right? She must be in some alien movies, some alien TV shows.
And Glenn had said TLB played with UFO. See how it all comes back around.
Nice job, Glenn.
Arthur asks a question. This is an early question, but I'm going to start hitting some of these. And I still have the passes. We'll get there. I have a whole box of passes we can get to. Arthur says, do you have any completed tracks for the upcoming CD? Absolutely not completed. They definitely will not be completed until next year, but I have several ideas, and as soon as we get through the big October extravaganza of a Halloween that's not going to happen, and all the other stuff that's going on in October, which has nothing to do with anybody outside of our lives.
So you're saying when things cool down in November.
When things cool down in November,
going on in November.
That's when Jen and I are going to have some time to really dig into this stuff and start sifting through it. And then what we do is we sift through it. We kind of just like hone it into something that we can give to Dale. And then Dale goes to work on it. And then
when things calm down right around election time and holidays, that's when we're going to hit it hard.
Right. Well, nobody's doing holidays, right? We don't have to do holidays this year, do we?
No, I think we're going to be forced not to.
I've been ignoring everybody's birthday so far, so I wasn't going to start with holidays. Greg Tom's going back to the thing we said earlier. Is there a Travis Larson pick? I could put with my Eric Clapton pick. I could put, maybe he meant I don't know, show a picture of him with his Eric Clapton pick, or couldn't part with my Eric Clapton pick, maybe is what he meant. Anyway, he says, is there a Travis Larson pick? There is, which is what we started the show with Sam. Sam sent me a picture of his of my pick in his pick collection amongst all the greats. So,
well, you'll have to bring the pick collection one of these times.
Yeah, we'll get there. But but tonight, I thought more so what would be fun to do is get into the laminate collection and this isn't the good laminate collection. Like we showed kind of some of that earlier, but this is we're not sure what's in the box laminate collection.
Wow.
What's in the box?
But before we do that,
great movie.
It's a good segment. Right? That should be the new. If you're presenting anything, it should be what's in the box. All right. All right. Everybody pick out a box.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have a Who's the Man for this week.
I have one, since we were sort of talking about Vegas.
Okay.
Were we sort of talking about Vegas? I can't.
Yeah, we were talking about Vegas because we were talking about how when we go to Vegas, we just walk around and look at stuff and try not to spend any money.
Right. This is probably an easy one because I don't know.
Not unusual to be loved.
Elvis Presley, Wayne Newton.
Well, I mean,
I know. See,
here's the thing, though. Well, Wayne would tell you
to instigate discussion, really.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Wayne would tell you Elvis. Here's the thing, though. Wayne Newton has a sense of humor about himself, and he kind of gets the Wayne Newton thing. And anyone that's ever seen Vegas Vacation knows that. So that's kind of cool that he gets the joke, you know.
Hey, there's one that we've sidestepped a few times, and it was, no, I shouldn't have brought it up. I thought I had it on the tip of my tongue. It was Sinatra, or who was the other?
Oh,
it was probably.
Go ahead.
Oh, it was probably the guy that I'm blanking on his name, but the guy that sits in with Billy Joel all the time.
This is why I don't do Who's the Man. It's
right.
it was so dumb of me to start to bring it up when I didn't have the whole thing.
Okay, Vicky says Wayne Newton, but everybody else says Elvis. Larry says Elvis, and that means it's Elvis.
Oh.
So, but
I guess
here's my Who's the Man. I was going to try and throw.
Oh, Sam says Frank Sinatra or Dean Martin.
That's what it was.
That's what it was. Yeah, I think that got kind of stepped over last time. Yeah.
My apologies to you guys for half bringing that up and not be able to bring it.
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
Well, Dean Martin is in all the Cannonball Run movies, right? So.
Yes, but Old Blue Eyes, come on. I love Frank Sinatra.
Last television show that Old Blue Eyes was ever on. Anybody?
No.
Magnum PI.
Nice.
Really?
That's great. There's a Netflix or a Netflix biography, or it was either Netflix or Hulu. I just saw a whole show on Sinatra. It was cool for me because, you know, we're right at that age where I became aware of Sinatra when it was sort of just almost kind of just, hey, kind of talking, you know.
Your parents' music maybe too?
Kind of. And he wasn't, it just felt different to me. It felt like a guy, I don't know. Something about the earlier stuff seemed different. It seemed really, it held my, it seemed more sincere. I don't know how else to put it. You know, it was almost parody-like later, way later, you know, when I saw him. So it was cool to see that and sort of get in at the ground floor and see what the impact was on everybody.
I think the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis stuff was really, you know, like, I don't know. There's something to be said for the duo. All those guys were amazing. And someone also just said, you know, you're Luke's boy.
Oh, Sammy Davis. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those cats just see, they all had their own thing. It's a little hard to say who's the man on all of those.
Larry says Major Nelson or Mr. Healy. That's just people already know, but that's just to let you know, like, why Larry and I get along. Then the level of nerdom is beyond the image by far. Hey, so here's my Who's the Man, though, and it's a non-musical Who's the Man, but I think I look at these times that we're in, right, and without any kind of commentary on them, I think of guys that would have a commentary on them that we would all think is something, right?
Okay.
So those two guys, Who's the Man? Richard Pryor or George Carlin?
We did this one once.
No, we didn't. Did we?
Yeah, because it was mine.
Richard Pryor or George Carlin?
Came up on the Beller episode.
Okay, so I've got a few.
I'll go back in my notes and find it if you don't believe me.
Nobody really took a position, though, because Brian started by saying it's too hard to say. So I don't know. Well, okay, you came up with it, so you don't have to say. I remember saying, yeah, that's too tough to compare. That was a really good one, and I've thought about it since then. And as far as commentary goes, insightful commentary, I tend to lean Carlin. But after we had that first conversation, I thought, you know what? Pryor, he had this thing where he was super cool, and he just was a hip comic, but he was also one of the first guys who brought vulnerability to the stage. You don't think of him that way, but he would sort of open himself up, and he would be vulnerable. And in retrospect, I think he really brought a lot. I think, obviously they're both
right.
Yeah. They're both the man, but I think for that, I think I dig him when he's, some of those specials, it was like he had half an act when he got there, but like Sunset Strip and stuff like that, that was, I'm going to go ahead and say Pryor based on those things.
I will say this based on movies. Okay. So specific to movies, Pryor all the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like stand-up is one thing, but if you're saying like, and you have to think back to when you first saw either of these guys, like you can say Who's the Man based on, whatever their delivery was or their stance on things over time. But as far as my first exposure where you're just like doubled over, this guy is crazy, insane, Pryor in movies for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with Gene Wilder.
Oh my God.
Up with Pryor and Gene Wilder.
Such a great, yeah.
Like that was like the greatest duo of all time, right? Like,
yeah.
Like I remember as a kid watching, every movie they came out with, it was like, you're going to see this movie because it was going to be just stupendous. And basically, I know they did, the one when Pryor was starting to get sick, which was so, but I remember, like Silver Streak was kind of the first one that I saw. And then, but the one that I was just killing me, which they never show anymore, was Stir Crazy. Like when I saw Stir Crazy, I was on the floor like the whole time, just crying,
Right.
and especially as a kid, like when you're watching Stir Crazy and you're like 10 years old, 12 years old or whatever, you're just like dying. And Richard Pryor is in the cell and he's like trying to light the match on the guy's chest, like the guy, this humongous, like 400-pound behemoth that's going to kill him. And he's like, and he's like, oh, he's just like, it's like knows he's going to die.
Yeah. That was built up to when I saw that. I already knew it was supposed to be the funniest thing. So it couldn't have lived up to the hype, but it did. It was so funny. This is a good comment. Howard says, 2 branches off the Lenny Bruce tree. That's
mm-hmm.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
But I saw George and I didn't see Richard. I saw George is the one that I saw actually in concert. And
oh wow.
So, but I think like stand up, it's probably a toss up, but movies, Richard Pryor, because George Carlin's been in some movies, but he wasn't really a movie guy. Like Bill and Ted, he was kind of just playing himself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I sort of already said this, but
Greg Toms is all over this. Grossberger. Sorry. Move on.
I know. I saw that. Yes. But yeah, like Carlin, he's presenting a thing when he's doing the stand up. And then Pryor was in retrospect, one of the first people who just was standing there as a guy who you could see into how he felt about stuff a little bit.
Right. So I'm checking to see if what I'm missing here. Oh, so I had some alternates because apparently I brought that up. I told my brother I was going to do that when he threw a bunch at me, but and I'm not sure that some of these, in my opinion, they might be too easy. But Martin Short or Dana Carvey.
That's a pretty good one.
I'll always be Martin Short. I don't know. He's my favorite. One of my favorites.
He's everybody's favorite.
I think I am too. I like hearing Dana Carvey talk more than I like his comedy. Like podcast episodes, he'll his perspectives on things and what he'll share about, like, you know, all his bits and experiences on SNL and stuff. It's super fun to listen to him talk about that stuff. But yeah,
right,
probably Martin Short.
So backpedaling a little bit here. Let's see. Somebody said, I'm trying to find the original comment, but somebody asked Jennifer Young or Tal Wickenfeld.
Oh, brother. Yeah,
and then
Tal all the way.
Holly said not Tal, but she's still a badass. Agreed. And then Sam said Jen because she's amazingly musically melodic. Very different kinds of bass players, though. Tal's definitely was ahead of her age, though. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, right.
You know, I mean, I'll say the same thing about, you know, there's a lot of guys that, you know, have come up where you kind of look at them and go, yeah, they're great. I don't necessarily feel like they eclipse me or I eclipse them, and it shouldn't be about that anyway. But if you're comparing Jen and I when we were like 20 to some of these people when they were 20,
right?
Like Jen and I sucked. Like we sucked.
Why are you leaving me out of this?
Well, we weren't playing with you until we were yeah, but you're the new guy. Like,
yeah, true.
I have to bring Jen up for the early days, you know. And I mean, you know, like I see some of these people and I think, well, when did they start playing? When they were like 3? And I guess, you know, some of them probably, but not Tal. Tal didn't start playing when she was 3. She started playing, she was a guitar player, and then she started playing bass like in her teens, right?
Yeah.
And we all started playing in our teens. So I look at Tal when she was like 20 and when we were 20, and I go, what happened to her? I mean, like, how did that happen?
How much did you guys, when you were learning to play, run up against, knew you had a problem or knew you had a shortcoming and just did not have a source of information to learn? In other words, pre-internet.
Yeah.
Now you can say, well, you can't take it away from people who got it from the internet. You still have to do all the work and be motivated. But I do remember times when I knew there was a thing I was running up against, and nobody around who could tell me. I didn't. And
the time that it would take for you to figure out how to access that information, whether it was finding someone who knew, or going to your record stores and getting the record that you wanted to learn from, or waiting for the TV show that you could. I mean, the time it took to find the information. Nowadays, it's like tick, 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 and there it is.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that, I'm not trying to blame our.
Right. I mean, we've talked about this before. Like when Jen and I started playing, we started playing at exactly the same time, and we met each other less than a year after we started playing, I think.
Right.
So, like, I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't, like she said, there was no internet, and you didn't even know about instructional videos because we both lived in smaller towns, and I had MTV. She didn't even have MTV, right?
No, it was all audio for me. So yeah, when you're just listening and you have no visual reference on how something is done, it's like you sorting that out for yourself. It takes so much more effort and time, just to, finally you're like, okay, I think this might be, and of course you learn all of your different approaches, maybe better that way than copying what you see, but it's just it's a lengthier process.
Well, you don't even understand how things work, including your hands. But I mean, that's why our technique sucks to this day, right?
Right.
But But the thing is, you don't understand, like I've talked about this before. I didn't know what distortion was. I didn't know what the whammy bar did. The first guitar I bought had a whammy bar on it, and I didn't understand how it worked, but I knew I wanted one because I saw guys using them.
Right.
And I was like, oh, this guy, he makes these crazy whistly dive bomb sounds, but I didn't understand. I thought you put the bar under the strings and pulled up on the strings from this piece of metal, almost like a slide or something. I didn't even get, it bends it's pushing the bridge down, and the reason I didn't get that is because I didn't have distortion yet, and I didn't understand how they were getting pinch harmonics and artificial harmonics and all that stuff that you get with distortion. Didn't know any of that, and nobody told me. I accidentally figured it out by overdriving a tape recorder, which Judy said tape recorder. I don't know if she's saying that because we all had tape recorders, but I actually discovered distortion. Yeah. I actually discovered distortion on my guitar by plugging it directly into a tape recorder to record it and overdriving the signal. I mean, it was like, I felt really stupid. Like if you guys ever saw the movie Night Shift, it was Michael Keaton's first movie, and he was the idea man. Yeah, and he would come up with ideas. He'd be like, I'm thinking about getting one of those wash and dries, but they already have them. But I thought of them first, but they already had them. It's like, I felt like that guy. Like I thought of it first, only they already have it,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, you could distort your guitar and it sounds like rock and roll. It's like, yeah, everybody knows that, Travis. That's why there's techniques
there were like hand techniques of just how to play when I was growing up, and I would hear about people talking about, for drummers, you learn about the Moeller technique, and now you can get on YouTube and watch Jojo Mayer talk about it, and you can pretty much pick it up, and it's just whether you do the work. But when I was growing up, it was literally, you're going to have to move to LA to find someone who can teach you this. And I'm 12, and I'm going, well, by the time I'm old enough to move, and I'll be 20, that's super old. But like it's crazy. Like you just always, since it's a motion-based thing and it's not something you can print out, and you didn't have a video of it.
Right. Yeah.
And it was just literally, you don't live in the right place, kid. You're never going to get good.
Sure.
And it's really interesting. And then, anyway.
So, I remember when I was a kid, I had to walk through the snow. Sorry.
I used to play in all-state jazz bands. And I think back, like, I didn't know anything. I hardly knew anything about jazz. I would listen to it, but there was just no way to grasp a lot of this from one teacher that I could find, in the area or something. And
there's nothing hipper than the white kid jazz musician from Humboldt, California, playing jazz.
I think about what I did not know, and I think about that I would be doing things like that, and just, I mean, your concept of it was the overriding thing, but there was just elementary things I didn't know about technique to play this stuff that I show kids who are 13 years old, and I'm just looking at them going, nobody showed me that, and I was 17 years old struggling along.
Sure.
But on the other hand, they can say, yeah, but you were let off the hook. You didn't even know how to do this, and you got to be an all-state jazz band. So I guess you can look at it both ways, maybe. But yeah, it's fascinating how much, you just didn't have access to things.
Hey, Judy says, had to learn Rush playing drums with a tape recorder. Play, stop, rewind, stop, play, and over. So what do you all take from this? Because what I take from it is, not only is Judy in 300 plus movies and TV shows, but apparently she plays Neil Peart drums.
And rides a motorcycle.
Yeah,
and rides a motorcycle.
She can play
the man, Judy or Judy?
Right. Who is the man? It's Judy.
Yeah. Incomparable.
Right. It's that there's a joke in there somewhere, like when they used to say that Ringo's not even the best drummer in the Beatles. Like pick whatever Pet Shark musician and then say Judy.
Right.
Judy's the best musician in Pet Shark.
Travis, knock it off. So someone had asked, what was your first gig and when? I think that's interesting, speaking about our early
as a band. Well, you guys first band was
individual.
Okay.
Dale.
I was going to say, prelude to that, Larry said, what year did you guys start playing?
Right. Same kind of thing. Yeah.
What did we start playing and what was our first gig?
My first gig was I just put something on the wall at a music store saying, looking for musicians to jam. And this is the last thing I wanted to do. I'm such an introvert. I didn't want to meet new people in it, but I'm like, yeah, it is true. What am I doing trying to play music if I'm not jamming with people? So I just put this ad up, and then these couple like 40-year-old dudes came over. My parents were out of town or something, and they just brought in like 4x12s, and we pulled the couch out of the living room and had like a gig in the living room. And they're like, yeah, you're really good. Hey, and the guy says, the guitar player, he's a Zeppelin guy and a Chuck Berry guy, so he's doing a bunch of rock guitar. But he said, I just joined a country band playing bass, and the drummer just bailed. You should maybe do that band. So my first gig was when I was 17 at a Moose Lodge playing country, and that's what I did for the next couple years. And it was funny too how much he said that based on, well, yeah, it seems like you can intuit what's coming, and it seems like you're a good player and all that stuff. But having a gig the following week and there's 50 songs to learn, and it's not just you don't know the songs. I didn't know anything about country. I was 17 years old in high school. That was funny.
So nothing says world class fusion drummer like Moose Lodge Country.
Right.
You know what I remember about that gig? I remember I had some cheater notes. I don't even know what those must have looked like. I knew nothing. What was I writing on these notes? But I'm sort of looking down, and I'm just focusing so hard. I'm not really taking in, and it's dark. It's a Moose Lodge. And and I finally relax enough about 2 hours in. These are all 5 hours gigs, 9 to 2 in the morning. And I look up, and there's a moose head mounted on the wall. And it's so big. It's so big that you don't notice it. It's just part of the building. And I suddenly realized what it was. And literally I was playing. I was like, yeah.
Oh, no.
Moose heads are gigantic.
Right.
Anyway, it was like 20 feet away from me, and it just startled me. Okay. That's my
title of the new record, Moosehead.
I'm actually having some sips of a wine right now called Loose Moose.
Nice.
And you know my affinity for Mises. You remember the
Yep.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Loose Moose.
Mooses.
Boxing. Sorry.
It's a Brian Regan's pluralization.
We'll get into the Brian Regan thing another time.
So who's next, Jen? You or me?
Well, I think we had the same. Oh, maybe we didn't have the same first gig.
We didn't have the same first gig.
I might have had.
It was close, but
I might have had a gig before I moved up here. Yeah,
like a real gig though, like a gig.
Yeah,
at a venue.
No, it was like like the guy moving the couches in the 4x12. It was like that.
Yeah.
Neighbors. So I think we played. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Well,
wait.
Okay, but you're gonna have to follow me at some point.
Yeah.
When did you first start playing, and what was your first gig?
I started playing at age 15, and my first gig was, I think, with Travis at the Mock Rock,
our Morro Bay High School.
Yep, Morro Bay High School.
Which, just so people know, Mock Rock was a lip syncing contest where we were the real band that played well. They were judging the lip syncers at the end of the night. So all night long, the high school kids were pretending to be famous bands like the Rolling Stones and all this stuff.
Except for it was nothing cool like that. It was like the awful music back in that day of like, I don't even remember now, but
yeah. But there was not the year we did it, but I remember one year that they did an 81 version of the Stones. I remember the kids that were in it, but that was before we played at it. But so we were like, much like when Larry and I met at a guitar competition where, you have like the quote unquote, like professional, and he gets up and plays a real song while the judges judge all the people that were competing. Mock Rock was similar to this, where you had all these like high school kids lip syncing and pretending to be bands that you saw on MTV and stuff. And then at the end of the night, while they were figuring out who won, they'd get the real band up there to play for like 15 or 20 minutes. And that was me and Jen and our drummer at the time. And I have this, I haven't brought myself to show it yet. It's not digitized to on the computer yet, but I do have it on DVD. It's from 90. I think it's from 91 because it was like it was right after we got out of high school. So we were like the big kids that weren't in high school anymore.
Graduated. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was our first gig. But that was our first gig together, which is why it's historic. And Jen, by the way, I just saw this. So you know how I said I was watching reruns of Starsky and Hutch. One of the last episodes of Starsky and Hutch, Hutch is wearing a poncho. Like that's what you did in the late 70s, right? He's got one of those big multicolored Mexican ponchos that goes down to his knees. Jen used to wear one of those all the time, and she had Crystal Gale hair. And so she's got like a poncho on and Crystal Gale hair. And
I was not wearing a poncho on at that gig.
That's true. I know. I know what you were wearing.
Okay.
You still had Crystal Gale hair and a really long shirt though, but you wore that poncho a lot. Like you probably took the poncho off.
I had my back to the audience the whole time. I was so scared. I was scared.
Yeah. How am I supposed to know what Crystal Gale hair looks like?
There's old people here like us. People know. So I started taking piano lessons, I think, when I was like 11 or 12 or something like that. And then I bought my first guitar from the Sears catalog when I was maybe 14 or 15. I think I was about the same age as Jen, so probably 15. And then she moved up to where I live, and then we met each other and started jamming. So, Craig Hill says, you got that DVD? I got to get a copy of that. Yeah. So here's the thing. Jen's mom used to have the DVD recorder where you could record to a DVD, and that's how I got it. And then the DVD recorder took a dump several years ago. So, but I do have the DVD. So I have to put the DVD into a software where I can digitize it to the computer.
Right. So
that's actually viewable on the computer. But I want to get a software where you can do it better because the stuff I have makes it really small. Like it's for the first iPod.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's really bad quality. So we got to figure out a way to get it better quality. Anyway, you'd think being video producing professionals, we would have that gear. But anyway, so my first gig though, before that gig was with a local band where you just join the local band to get gigs, more like of Dale's ilk. And there was a rock band with Danny Jones in it who lives up in Seattle. We see him on these chats every once in a while. He's not on here tonight. Danny Jones was the drummer for that band. And we played the Battle of the Bands at the Santa Maria Bowling Alley. That was my first gig ever.
Wow.
And
a bowling alley gig.
Bowling alley gig. And you can imagine this I mean, you know the band. It was not a great band. And I was in it. And so therefore it was really not a great band. And so we played this Battle of the Bands to make it worse. Adds insult to injury. The band that we were up against was a Chapman Stick band.
Oh, oh boy.
So we're literally like hashing out kind of like wannabe Cheap Trick songs, and I've got I'm wearing like a button down dress shirt and, like tan chinos and baggy pants, just like 1987 or 88, like whatever, whatever you wore back then. And that was my first gig. And then, it took like maybe a year or two or whatever it was before. But I kind of learned a lot in that band.
We have bowling alley, Moose Lodge, and high school gym.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a funny gig related story. One of the things I did in jazz band, I think I must have been a junior or something, and this would have been before the Moose Lodge, was an invitational all-state jazz ensemble or something where they just, in order to attract people to music departments, colleges will do these, like, hey, come, we'll select certain musicians to come and you'll rehearse for a week and do a few days or something and do a big concert. And it was at Chico State. And I remember showing up, and then the first day somebody said, hey, congratulations all for being here, blah, blah, blah. And this is also where I first heard the word per diem. They gave out, I think I said a week, but we were there for 2 days and the concert was on the third day. And and we had to eat, and they didn't want to break the parents' bank or whatever, and but I didn't have my parents. I just caught a ride with like with the jazz instructor of my school or something. So I'm just there, like my parents aren't with me or anything, and they gave us $50. I don't quite know how they did that either, because I feel like it was a check, but that would have been presumptuous to say that everybody would have had a checking account. But anyway, they gave us $50, and I just looked at my band, and I told him later, I was like, they gave us $50, and he goes, it's a pay gig, man. And my reaction to getting $50 on the first day so that we'd all be nourished was to fast for the 2.5 days and pocket the $50. I didn't eat anymore. I just like $50.
Right.
So small-minded. It's amazing the lack of vision.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm very similar to that, where like, we used to play the farmers, and you'd get tips, and you'd buy a pizza at the end, and that would be all the tips to just get a pizza. But it was very similar to like the Rush thing, where it was like, we bought a pizza with music.
Yeah.
We bought a pizza, Gino says he feels like he helped us at that mock rack. I'm pretty sure he did not.
Sure. Oh.
I don't know. Maybe he did. He could have. But I do know that Larry Doro was helping me lift speakers onto the stage, which he's actually an in-law, I believe, of Craig Hill, who was one commenting on the DVD. So see, it's all comes around. So I don't want to lose too much time on this. So let's get into, I don't want to forget. But I have this box of just lanyards.
Man, look at all that.
And this is just, so this is kind of funny too, because these lanyards are tied together, Jen, with this purple piece of leather, which I think you've had since you were like in school. Remember
I
purple?
used to tie that around that was my hippie necklace.
Like this was Jen's purple piece of leather, which I've been seeing since like we were kids.
That was before chokers were like a thing. Nowadays all the kids do that thing. Yeah, but back then,
they're hot.
I just tied a piece of leather around my neck.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Well, because, my dad was a leather worker, right? And he had lots of bits like that. And I was like, ooh, that's pretty. I'm going to tie it around my neck. So that's how that worked.
Nice.
Anyway, now it's a thing. I don't know.
Oh, and by the way.
30 years ago, you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's something. So I'll start with something big and end with something big. But this here, I'm just grabbing stuff out of here, So our band was called Second Nature when we played the high school.
Yep.
Right. The very first gig that Jen and I played together, which is her first gig ever. And so being that was called Second Nature, look at the first, this is a coincidence. Oh, I was going to try. I wonder if I can. Oh, there we go. This is what I'm looking for right here. Look at that view, huh? This is the first pass that I found. But that's
that's Flying Colors, or
Flying Colors. That's Flying Colors' first gig, but it was called the Second Nature Tour.
Right,
what a coincidence! Flying Colors representatives.
Second album. So
that's their second album?
Yeah.
Or their first album? Oh, okay. I thought this was the first time, and because we've seen them a couple of times. Anyway, that was the first pass that I found.
Their third album is Third Degree. Like they're kind of doing a little play thing there.
Ah, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
these are all tied together. So I'm just going to flip through some of the ones here. This is classic TLB right now.
That pile of shit. Oh my goodness.
This is the first TLB backstage pass.
Yep.
Which is the solo, or the self-titled.
Back when we needed backstage passes. Yep.
Yeah. This is actually the first time we would have actually needed backstage passes, which was the second album, which these passes were made, I think, because we did Ted Nugent.
Yeah. Yep.
And you needed passes because it was a big show, and you needed passes. We gotta have passes because all the other guys have passes.
Yep.
But then here's just
thinking passes. Oh wait, that's badges.
This is Ernie Ball All-Star Biff's Babies All-Stars 2001.
Ah, that was a good show.
Now I have that.
That was the time when Vinnie Moore was rocking somebody in the porta potty. Who was that?
was it. He probably Luke was doing a lot of that kind of stuff.
I thought
too.
Vinnie Moore was stuck in the porta potty, and Luke.
I think Luke was shaking it.
Somebody was having it.
I think, to be clear, I think Vinnie Moore was trying to go to the bathroom, and Luke was trying to tip over the porta potty. That's
right.
That's that's what it was.
That makes a little more sense.
That was actually scary.
Some of these I'm just going to throw out there because I don't even know who they are, or don't remember, or can't read it. But here's just like a mystery pass.
Yeah, that's mysterious. Winter Nam. Yeah. So that's a name
thing. Let's see. A couple. We don't need to look at all the TLB passes, but let's just look at some stuff here that's like more mystery passes. This is, I believe, this is the. That's the House of Blues Nam Bash 2006 for Electro Voice, which I'm not sure if this is the one with Parliament Funkadelic or if this is the one with Los Lobos and Twisted Sister.
Right.
Have we described that lineup of Twisted Sister, Los Lobos, and TLB before?
we have mentioned it.
I blew up my Ampeg SVT4, and then I was like,
Did we cover this?
We have talked about, because we've talked about the gig, but it was us opening up for Twisted Sister, opening up for Los Lobos, or no, it was Los Lobos first and then Twisted Sister. Twisted Sister closed, yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, because they played We're Not Going to Take It like 37 times in a row. It was like the Christmas version, and then the Jazz Odyssey 2000 version, and then it's just like for like half an hour. We're not gonna, and then it was like whatever this. They had that Christmas album that year, but that was really something.
Yep.
Okay, this is kind of
no
cool.
Makeup was kind of more menacing than with makeup.
Yeah, Dee Snider with no makeup is scarier. This is actually not you wouldn't know it by the pass, but this is a cool story. This is the AMP show.
Yeah.
And when we went to the AMP show, what year is this? 2008. That was the show where I got to meet Tommy Smothers.
Yeah.
Oh, have you ever told that story? The Zach Wild, Tommy Smothers story?
I'll tell a quick version of it just because. So this is how busy we were that day too. So we played a festival in Morro Bay, California, the Harbor Festival, at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. And then we packed up and then we drove to LA for this AMP show, which is kind of like a miniature, like a NAMM show, trade show kind of thing. And then we're hanging out in the lobby. The show actually starts the next day. So we're just hanging out in the hotel lobby. And is it, what airport is that? It's like the airport in the Valley. It's not one of the bigger ones. It's like
seems like it was in Santa Ana. Is that right?
John Wayne Airport.
No, that's down. John Wayne Airport is in Anaheim.
Santa Ana, same.
Like thing. South of Anaheim. Right. No, this is in the Valley, like just past 1,000 Oaks. Anyway, somewhere down there. Airport? We're starting to sound like the California.
Was it the Burbank Airport?
Burbank Airport. That's probably it.
That's the only. There's Burbank, Santa Ana, and then Los Angeles.
Yeah, and you take the 405 to the 210 to the 101, and you drive up the 5, and you get to the Burbank Airport. So anyway, so we're hanging out in the lounge of that.
Ontario, no.
And I go out to the deck outside on like this. They've got like a little smoking patio outside the lounge of the hotel, and Tommy Smothers is out there, and he's just talking to like 2 people that much like me are excited to see Tommy Smothers, right? And so he's just like standing. Tommy Smothers looks a lot like Johnny Carson. It's a similar type of sighting. He's wearing a 3-piece suit. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's like he's just there and he's wearing the suit. Like he's just always wearing the suit, and he's smoking a cigarette and he's got a drink in his other hand and he's like kind of standing around these guys telling jokes. And then I, of course, walk up and I'm like, Mr. Smothers, lifelong fan, blah, blah, blah. Those other 2 guys bail. And then I'm just out there with him for 20 minutes. Like you guys were there in the beginning, I believe, right?
Yeah,
we were all
like,
we were there the whole time, I think.
No, you guys went inside because that's where the rest of the story continues. Okay. You guys went inside. I stuck out there with him for a while.
Got it. Okay.
And so he was like telling jokes and stuff, which eventually ended up being on the Ferguson show the next day. Yeah. So there's like a Sunday night, and then Ferguson show was on the Monday night. But anyway, so he's telling all these jokes and stuff, and then you guys went inside and you were up at the bar with Rick Beatty getting some drinks.
Oh, okay.
And then so Tommy Smothers goes in there, and he starts like talking to Zach Wilde, who's also at the bar with you guys. That's why you were at the bar, because Zach Wilde was buying drinks for everybody, right? That's what it was. Zach Wilde's like, I'm buying drinks for everybody. Like, that's just what he did back then. And so Tommy Smothers goes in there, starts talking to Zach Wilde, starts like irritating him for whatever reason, and then challenges him to an arm wrestling match. And Zach Wilde's like, arm wrestle match, and blah, 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 blah. And they have an arm wrestling match, and Tommy Smothers takes him down, like for real.
Right? I remember the internet was all like a buzz with that the next day. Like they got in a fight, but really it was what you're talking about.
Like Zach Wilde's like, and then Zach Wilde storms around. He's like all pissed off because he lost like arm wrestling to this little old man who's like, this wiry little guy. And he's small too. Tommy Smothers is a small guy. And then Tommy Smothers' manager came up and said, yeah, he does this all the time. He'll pick out the biggest guy in the room, and then he'll challenge him to an arm wrestling match, and he'll take him down because Tommy's super strong. He's like a gymnast. He's wiry. And everybody's just like, what are you talking about?
Well, and I think he has that advantage of just he does it really fast, and Newsack and all of that stuff. So there were variables that helped, but yeah, he just nailed that.
Yeah.
Right.
That was funny. That was
The thing I remember most about Zach that night, and Zach, remember, he was like grabbing me, and his beard smelled so bad, bad. I think I kept telling you guys, dude, he smells so bad. I mean, hopefully Zach's not watching this.
Well, he quit drinking and things have changed a lot, I think.
He brags about that though, so it's consistent and he shouldn't be offended. When two of the only interviews I've ever seen with him, people ask him what it's like on the road, and they say they have competitions among band members to see who can go the longest without showering.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense then.
Like that's a game. Like if you can make it a month, you're gonna really a month. You're sweating. You're sweating to death every night. Yeah. So
I think that
can't be offended.
I think he's given up on that game now that he's sober and married. And, he was married then, but I think
John or Goober says, "Isn't he the yo-yo champion?" Yes, you didn't do yo-yo stuff then too that night.
Yeah, I think he had a yo-yo on him. Like he's always from what I saw, because he was literally a guy just hanging out on the patio. He's always that guy, But he was trying to work out a thing for his brother and him for the next night on Craig Ferguson. And then when he went on Craig Ferguson, and this is a true story, and I have the DVD for proof, he told, so that, everyone knows the Smothers Brothers, the deal is he plays the dumb one, and he always goes on and he tells outlandish stories, and his brother stands there and goes, you didn't do that. You didn't do that. No, you weren't there. That's not what we did. And that's the whole bit, right? And so his whole story of what he had done was everything that we had done. Mm-hmm. So he went on there, and that was like a little shout out to us. Like, he's like, I was up in San Luis Obispo, and then I came down to the Burbank airport, and I'm here for this music show and blah, blah, blah. And he's like saying all that on the Ferguson show. And he's like, no, you're not. No, that's not what happened. No, what are you talking about? Yeah. And he was just like throwing all this stuff out there. And he's just like, the whole thing is he just says a bunch of gibberish, and his brother gives him a hard time. That's their bit, Yep. So that was the thing. Here's something that we could this is the 11th.
We could go on and on about.
This is the 11th annual Texas Rock Fest.
Oh God. Dude, there's some video of that you'll have to show. I just watched that recently, actually, because I was looking for something, and
that was the South by Southwest.
Yeah,
South by Southwest. Yeah, and there is some really, really hilarious footage or video. The video tour diaries I used to do of that experience.
I remember really quick. I remember not being, something happened with the stage timing, or I can't remember. There was a mixed communication, and we were trying to get a ride to the stage, but we were going to be late. And somebody sent a vehicle, and the person who drove up like a movie looked like just sort of a non-confrontational college student girl and her friend, and like,
it was like a typical like Texas girl. It was like straight out of like Rhinestone Cowboy. Like it's just like a girl. It's like a girl driving her boyfriend's truck.
Yeah, huge truck, and we put our stuff in the back, and we get in the back, and we're like, we're just thinking of our story, how we're going to deal with this being late, and then she just floors it, starts driving through barriers, like just like we would have been freaked out, but we were so relieved that she was going for it. Like, we might make it there. It was almost killed 20 people, but got us there on time.
Yeah, she literally is like just going down, like closed streets and stuff. And we just like threw all our stuff in the back of the truck and jumped in the truck. Yeah, we're in the back of a giant pickup truck trying to get to stage, and we've got 15 minutes to hit something stupid like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Good night, Anthony.
There's a few, we don't have to talk about these, but there's just like, there's some random, like this is a mystery one. This is 2010 Nam Jam with Collective Soul, LA Guns, all kinds of stuff. I don't think I ever got to that.
That's another way in which NAMM is separate for drummers, where there's always some drum event going on that's super cool, but it's always separate from what everybody else is doing. Not always, but often.
Okay, so this is a good one. And there is video of this that it would be hard to go find right now. Maybe we'll get it for a future episode, but
yeah, we got to get the Rock Fest or the South by Southwest thing and whatever you're about to show.
This was snap dab in the middle of the UFO tour. And then Jen and I got booked to do, Jen got booked and I went with her to do Bass Player Live in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And that was at SIR Studios in Hollywood. And Jen's since like this was a good lesson actually, because she's since learned a
defining moment for me in my life. Yes.
Yeah, like she's learned to prepare properly for the things she's walking into now.
Hey, Tom Gricegrabber. Hi.
Tom Gricegrabber.
Hey, Tom.
Speaking of Chapman Sticks.
Oh yeah. Right? Sorry, that's just like a total left turn, and I'm like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah, no, we were talking about Chapman Sticks earlier, Tom. We were just talking about Bass Player Live at the SIR Studios. So Jen and I went and did this thing, and Jen, it's like, this is something that used to happen that she doesn't do anymore. But if she was kind of intimidated by being part of something, she would almost kind of like pretend like it wasn't going to happen. Right? Like you'd kind of just like, almost like stick your head in the sand, but still have to go do it. And that was the last time that ever happened. You went into this thing and all of a sudden you're on stage jamming with Tony Levin and was it Murata?
Sterling Ball.
Yeah, Dave Murata, Sterling Ball, and a bunch of other like world-class heavy-hitting bass players. And of course, Jen's the only girl there. And I'm just going to say this because it's the reality of the situation. Tel Wickenfeld was across the hall, so you were like the other girl. And so it was like, hey, we've got one of those. And so it was like, Jen, run this jam. Jen, what do you want to play? Jen, to answer these questions. Like she was like being thrown into the front of this whole thing with all these guys. And totally like the focus point of it when she went in, not prepared with anything to really perform or have anything under her fingers that she could do as a solo bass piece or anything like that. And so now, that's the cool thing is that's kind of turned into Jen's got some solo bass pieces and stuff now where like on the last Andy Timmons show, when you were filling in for his bass player always does a bass solo piece and they go into one of his ballads and you were able to fill that spot without a huge effort because now you have that kind of thing prepared. So that was a cool thing.
That kind of sounds like you didn't perform though. Didn't you tear it up at that thing, Jen? I wasn't there.
I performed and I did a solo piece.
Good Lord. You just had to stress way more because you weren't really prepared for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like Travis's recollection may be different than mine.
Well, no, we did Georgia and like one other song as a duo. And then when you got up with them, they were
Oh,
like,
I did the School Days solo piece.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot you did that. Now you have to do it again because everybody's going to say, Jen used to play School Days.
Yeah, I
That's
totally
right.
did School Days as a solo version. Yeah.
That was hot shit. You have to do that again now. Now that you've reminded us all that you did that, you have to do that again. Jen used to do School Days with a looper.
Yep.
Yeah, you should do that. Sorry, I'm like looking through. Let's see what's under here.
I remember playing the first time I did like a big festival show. George Clinton was playing, and the people in his band had what looks like Travis holding, just like they had so many passes from their tour. And I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. We were just like, this is an amazing festival. Blues Travelers here, George Clinton's here. But they all just had like 20 passes on they didn't even take them off. I'm like, that is so cool. And I figured I'd do that, but then it just looks really dumb when you have 10 passes.
I know. I think that's where I sort of probably got the idea of the big loopy thing, Oh, I've seen that. And yeah. Throw that sucker around your neck, see how you like it. Because, when you're actually working and that thing's dangling around and it's getting caught on every little knobby thing.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so this is one that I'm disappointed. I don't think we were able to go to. And I'll be disappointed till the day I die that I didn't go to this one. But I think we actually had to go to a dinner or something like that. But how about that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Show, yeah.
How disappointing that we didn't go to that, right?
That was a NAMM thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then the other one, here's one that you guys weren't at that I had to look at it and think for a second, what is this? This is Michael McDonald and Hall & Oates.
I'm laughing at how much you wanted to be there. Were you at that show?
I made that happen. Yeah.
Okay.
I made that happen because, so here's the thing. We talk about our friend Mike, who we used to play music with back in the day, and he lives up in the Bay Area, and that's his world is more like, like the Hall & Oates, Sting, all that kind of stuff,
right.
But I love me some HO like the rest of you, right? You know what I mean?
Yep.
We all love some HO. So I was like, I gotta get into this show. I gotta get into it. And then we got into like at the end of the night, we're in the dressing rooms and stuff with Michael McDonald, and we're absolutely that Saturday Night Live character that's like, remember that time you were on What's Happening?
Yeah, right.
Remember that time Rerun was trying to bootleg the Doobie Brothers and you guys stopped him? Remember that? Like we were like total dorks. So
if we do Daryl's house again and he happens to be there, I'm prepared for that to happen again.
The trench coat and the tape recorder.
That Cheap Trick show, I remember that. I remember how excited everybody was at NAMM for 2 days leading up to the fact they were going to do it. And by the second day, I was like, people don't understand how packed and like these are not like concerts where you go and you get your ticket and you have a seat. They're just how many human beings can we shove into this room? And I remember going, as much as I want to see this, I'm staying away.
Yeah, right.
But I think I found a drum thing to do anyway. But I remember it would have been cool to see that, but I bet I wouldn't have seen anything. I bet I would have just been trapped between bodies.
It's Tom like the Hilton lobby on Saturday nights.
Tom says Sennheiser had Cheap Trick at the Grove. I think that was this show, maybe, because I believe it was at the Grove. I think that was the deal. But I think
sounds about right.
I think we either had to play a show or we were at a dinner or something. But it definitely had to be something we had to go to because otherwise I would have been all over that. I've never seen Cheap Trick live, and
right.
That's one of those growing up with rock and roll bands. But and since Tom is here, this would be a good one to wrap up with because he's a big fan as we are. But this is the last one in the box, which is the most recent one. That's why it's the last one, and it's a loose one. But this, of course, from just a couple of years ago.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah, and
you weren't supposed to keep that. Janine said, "Make sure you give that back to me."
I apologize. Yeah, I apologize, Janine. Janine said, "Don't keep those. I only have so many." And of course, I walked out with
one, and she had like 3 more shows to do or something.
So, okay.
What the phrase "sorry, not sorry" was made for.
Yeah, there's two things here. One is Janine's the one that left.
That's true. You did. Yes, you didn't have the chance to give it back.
So in my defense, Janine left. But I will say that had Janine been around at the end of the night, I wouldn't have brought it up.
Right.
I wouldn't have been like, hey, I still got that pass I got to give you back. So that's it, kids. What do you think? Right. It's our backstage.
You have a joke?
Yep. Why did Cyclops close his school?
Don't know.
He only had one pupil.
Wow. Oh, that was a great sound.
Good.
Do that again. That's a great sound.
Okay.
Hey, it's great to see Tom Gricegrabber on here.
Yeah, it's great to see everybody. Thanks, you guys, for coming out for this silly, stupid shit. I don't know what to say about it.
I said last week. I said, so. I mean, like you guys, like we'll probably start winding this down, right? And you guys said, I mean, we have another year of this, don't we?
Oh, God.
and they said it deadpan, so I guess we're stuck here for a while. And we do have
we should get Tom on for a guest. That would be fun.
And talk about NAMM.
Yeah.
Yep. Tom's open for
audio gear, some audiophile gear.
Tom's done more Steve Morse shows than anybody I know, honestly.
I know.
As far as being a support act on the bill with Steve. So I've many a time, and then we've done some stuff with Tom, but we've always talked about wanting to do some more stuff with Tom.
Yeah.
So if you don't know Tom Gricegrabber or Agent 22, and you guys should check that out. That's cool proggy Chapman stick stuff out of San Diego, California, or as Will Ferrell likes to say, San Diego. So, all right, kids.
Thanks, everybody.
All the support Travis Larson links are in the description. And all the stuff is still set up from the last live stream. We're kind of letting that set, but because I want people to check it out if you haven't checked out the live stream concert that I did last Wednesday or a week before Wednesday, whenever that was, check that out. I had some special guests on there. It went really well. We have like the TLV studios here somewhat dialed for that now. So we'll do another one probably, in maybe late October. We'll see. We're going to decide what kind of time we have based around actual life. Because there's like some real life happening around the TL Vision.
The real life happening around.
So there's my sister-in-law. She's yelling moon.
Yay. Hey, Sue.
Hey, Sue.
Bye, Gino. Bye, James. All right.
Bring us out. We'll see everybody soon.